Going live. We are going live. We are live right now. How are you guys? I see that Troy is in here, or was. He gave me a little testing. I hope some of you can make it. If not, please listen later. I want to thank everyone that listened to the last episode. It was the highest number of views that I've had on Star Trek Picard with these recap reviews. I thought I was going to come on later tonight, but due to the coronavirus scare, we are quarantined down here in Brazil, probably even more than in the US at this point. We're kind of stuck in the city of Sao Paulo. I was supposed to go to a school function tonight, but of course, schools have been closed. So I have been home all day. I actually was going to watch Picard a little bit earlier, but I had to do remote work. So I hope all of you are doing okay. You're making it through your self isolation period. Maybe you are with your family, maybe you are alone. There's a lot of good stuff out there to watch. Westworld just began. I hope to have those videos up with some recap reviews of Westworld by the end of the week. I already missed the first episode, but it's been so crazy with all the Corona stuff. But I will definitely try to watch the first episode tomorrow and then try to do a steady stream maybe on Mondays or Tuesday nights. And even The Walking Dead, which suddenly got better after episode 6 because it was a bore. I quit watching The Walking Dead this season, and for good reason. It was really bad compared to last season, which was really awesome. So I'll be having some more videos up. So thank you, everybody. If you're not a subscriber to the channel, please subscribe. If you haven't hit the like button, do it now. And also hit that little bell because it will give you notifications of when my videos are up. I wish I could tell you like I have a pretty steady schedule. I usually don't. It's usually Sundays, sometimes Tuesdays, sometimes Thursdays. Those are the best days for me to put up live streams. But let's get to it. There's a lot to unpack in this episode of Star Trek Picard. And let me put my little face up here. I'm not turning on the camera because I look a mess. And I've been quarantining all day. So this episode, how do you say this? Because I don't speak Latin. Is it et in Arcadia ego? Which translates roughly to even in Arcadia, there I am. And that could refer to death when we say I, and Arcadia could be utopia. And the idea, it comes from a painting from the 1600s by Poussin, French artist. And it depicts the fact that Arcadia was this Greek city that was far away from everything. So it was kind of the idyllic life out in the middle of nowhere. But even there, death will arrive. So it makes sense that that's the title of this episode because we have finally gotten to Synth World. Or Synthville, is that what Rafi called it at some point? Picking up right from last week's episode as usual, right? But this was like really like boom. They shoot out of the transwarp hub, whatever you call it, and arrive at this planet in the, what is the name of this star system? I thought I had it written down, but I guess I didn't. The Guion system. They arrive there. And yeah, it's the home of the synthetics. They had found their little planet to just chill on. Maddox had run away there after the ban, we find out. And we meet some familiar faces. Well, not so familiar. Familiar, but not familiar. We'll get to that, obviously, as you can see through by the picture that I have there, that it is Brent Spiner playing Soong again. This time it's his son, but we'll get to that. So I love the opening. Yet another great opening to an episode. Star Trek Picard has been really good with these openings. I love the flashback ones, especially, but even the real time, what's going on ones are awesome. So, like I said, it opens with them getting to the other side of this transwarp hub, and everything's fine until they realize that that little ship that they thought they had gotten rid of is still, I guess it's the snakehead, is still following them. And if you recall, it's Soji's ex possible lover that's in there, right? The Romulan guy. And they have a little bit of a star fight, which is interesting, well filmed. And out of nowhere, boom, out comes the Borg cube, which I thought was awesome. I thought that was really cool that she was able, Seven of Nine was able. This is Narek, that's his name. Narek was in, was following them, and he managed to continue to follow them even after the tracker was taken out of Girardi's blood system, or however the hell that worked. But anyway, he comes out of the transwarp hub. They have a little fight until the Borg cube arrives, and I'm expecting it. I'm expecting some real heavy duty stuff to go on and to happen. But before that can happen, these orchids come out. These actually like these flowers, and they swallow up the ship. Right, first it's Picard's ship, La Sirena, and then Narek's ship, and then even the Borg cube gets kind of taken by these flowers and brought down to the planet. Cool sequence. We have a moment where Picard kind of, loses his mind a little bit, and that leads to probably the first, what I think was a good scene in the episode, where Picard finally tells everybody that he has this brain issue, this brain problem, medical disorder, and that it's terminal. And he doesn't know, he doesn't want to be treated like a sickling or a dying man. And I liked it. I liked it. What I kind of didn't like, well, I mean, it was per Picard's request that he says, I don't want to be treated like a dying man, but I want to see where that goes. I don't know if I didn't like it. I just want to see where that goes, where this medical issue with Picard is going to go. If obviously that's going to extend into the second season, so he's not going to die at the end of season one, because they've already signed on to a season two and possibly three. I think when they announced it, they said 3 seasons, which I think is a good number for this show. Want to see where that goes, because that's such a, it's a cool line, to play. It's like dying man, dying Picard. What does he want his legacy to be? Because his legacy for the last 14 years or so has been waiting to die, and now he wants to live, but he got his wish. He's got something terminal in him. I kind of hope that they explore that a little bit more beyond just his usual stoic Picard. So, hello, viewer. Thank you. Welcome to the broadcast. Feel free to comment, ask questions, answer any questions that I have, because I always think you guys are way smarter than me when it comes to all this stuff. I watch, I enjoy it, but I don't always get everything. Huge Star Trek fan though. So feel free to comment, and I will be happy to interact with you. But thank you for coming. Anyway, after that happens, that's where this episode, I don't know, guys. Look, first, let's get this out of the way. I've been really, really, really enjoying Star Trek Picard a lot. I think it's been really good, and almost every episode's been better than the last. I think the lowest score I gave it was close to a 7, which I think was the episode where they were on Elnor. Is that his name? On his planet. Didn't really like that one too much. This one, er, it. I gotta say, I'm gonna give it like a 7.9, 7.8. It didn't really hit home for me because my biggest criticism of Picard is that it's relied a lot on setup. I mean, the first 4 or 5 episodes were pretty much just setup. It was interesting. There were a lot of good character moments. There was a lot of interesting information fed to us, but it took till mid-season for us to get to the good stuff. Like, what are we really doing? What do we really want to accomplish? Um, so it's a balancing act of like development, whether it be character development, universe development, and just flat setup. And I think this one weighed a little bit too much on the just flat setup episode. I mean, a lot of what was done, I think, may have been accomplished faster and gotten us to the meat of it all, which is what we will talk about in a little bit. It's something that I'm actually looking forward to. And I think that next week is going to be awesome. It should be. I hope it is. Because the way they set it up, it looks like it will be really cool. But anyway, to get to this planet, they land, they find that the Borg cube has crashed. And it was kind of a little bit of a nod to, remember when the first Star Wars trailer came out? Well, not the first, right? The first of the new ones, The Force Awakens. And it was kind of a shocking scene when you saw, is it the Star Destroyer? I'm not a big, I mean, I've watched them all a bunch of times, but I'm not good at memorizing the names of all the different things. Anyway, it was crashed on the planet. Cool scene, cool shot. Kind of made you think about like, man, years have passed since Darth Vader ruled the skies, ruled the universe. We got one of those crashed on a desert planet. This was kind of cool to see a huge Borg cube just crash down on the planet. They decide, hey, let's go see if they're okay. We got a little bit of a reunion with Seven of Nine and Picard again and Elnor. It was just kind of quick. I mean, they managed to get their long range sensors to figure out that there were a bunch of Romulans, but hey, we already knew, and they kind of already knew there were a bunch of Romulans. I mean, does it really change things that much to know that there are 219 versus there's a lot of them coming? Um, and aside from that, I mean, I guess there was a lot cut out, where we just have to use our imagination. I imagine, obviously, that the Borg cube is going to play a huge role in the defense of this planet when they get down to it at some point. Maybe somehow a Seven of Nine will call her Borg drones back. I don't know what's going to happen. The weakest link this year for me has been the Borg cube. So I hope it's at least used for something awesome at the end of the season, and especially with Seven of Nine in it, because she has been awesome this series. And please, 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 guys, the same way last year with Star Trek Discovery, season 2, I think it was last year, right? Or was it the year before? But anyway, it was automatic. You fell in love with Pike. You were like, this is the dude. And we want a Pike series. And I hope, it looks like it's going to happen. My spidey sense, in most people's spidey sense, really point to they're going to make this happen. The Pike series with on the Enterprise. And this is a spin-off way, like just begging to happen. Seven of Nine, rogue savior of the galaxy, just out there doing her thing. I would love it. I think I like this even more than the Section 31 show, which seems interesting. I mean, I like, well, I can't say I like Michelle Yeoh. I really love Michelle Yeoh. But sometimes, the writers of Discovery don't always write well for her. They try to make her too, like, I'm such a badass and I'm so evil and I will say whatever comes to my mind. And it's like, come on, just, we get she's like evil inside. She's got a dark heart, but now she's not living in the mirror universe, so she has to sort of play by the rules. But I don't know. Do I need a Section 31 show? I mean, if I can trade it for a Seven of Nine show, because at the same time, I don't want them to flood us with too much Star Trek, because you flood the market too much, and you know what happens. Things fizzle out. So I would trade a Section 31 show for a Seven of Nine show, like in a heartbeat. But it might be cool. I mean, Michelle Yeoh's in it, and she kicks ass, dude. So um, whatever. Just make the Seven of Nine show happen, please. Just make it happen. It'll be so cool. Anyway, moving on though. Act two, pretty much of the episode is that they arrive at the little village. I guess the synth village, and there's a bunch of synth there. There's one synth there called Arcana who recognizes Picard. By the way, Picard got recognized on the Borg cube as the cutest, so that was cool. You saw him kind of freeze, like, oh shit, that was cool. Until Elnor was like, Picard. And then who comes out? But it's Brent Spiner. But he's not Data. He's Alton Inigo Soong, the son of Noonien Soong, mad scientist, self-proclaimed, builder of many, 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 many androids, and as we'll find out later, builder of a possible android which can carry on his actual mind. That's kind of cool. Uh, there's a lot of talk about that these days, about uploading our brains into AI. So I like that this episode touched on that. And anyway, sorry about that. So, was it cool to see Brent? Of course, I love him, and I like that he played a character very different from Data, very different from other times where he's been somebody else in Star Trek. But he's been Soong a lot, and so it was a cool reunion, but it wasn't the reunion we all wanted. We kind of really wanted the Data reunion, but I guess we're not getting that, which is cool. I think I said this in the first or second episode of these podcasts that I like that Picard didn't play with that. They said Data's dead. Data's really, really dead. And he's not coming back. Hey, I mean, the actor's old. He's not going to be able to play Data for the rest of his life either. So it was cool that Data was just like this imaginary friend in his mind. That was cool. But seeing Brent kind of made me want to see Data. Can you understand that? Like, I'm glad that they kept Data dead. But why you got to bring in this Alton Soong character, was it necessary? I don't know. But there he is. He was there. He was a little bit upset that Maddox was killed. He befriends Dr. Girardi and asks her to help him kind of make this transfer of his id or whatever into this android. But before we get there, we also meet somebody else. We meet somebody else named Sutra. Okay, very sexy name and a very sexy character, played by the same actress that plays Soji. And Sutra she gets right down to business. She wants to know what is the admonition, and she does a mind meld with Girardi. And this is kind of around the time where the episode started to fall apart for me, as far as just a lot of setup, um, and kind of predictable where it was gonna go, because Sutra just came. I don't know. There was, I mean, just the way she talked, and very sexual and sensual, like very siren like. It kind of, it didn't leave a lot to the imagination, as far as we know that she's gonna turn out to be a problem, because aren't all wild exotic women problems, right? So she figures out, and again, I don't know how she's able to mind meld with somebody, given she's got that positronic brain thing going. Um, because I figure the mind meld is gotta be something a little bit more emotional, spiritual. Yeah, I mean, I don't know how the mechanics of that, how that works. So you're telling me like a robot can can actually dig into the soul of somebody, into the mind, because you're digging into the mind, not just the brain. It's different than, an android like Data. He did the Vulcan neck pinch. That's just, hitting the right nerves. Boom, you drop somebody, right? Like that's something you can teach a robot to do. But the mind meld has always, for me, seemed like something a bit deeper. It's a little bit of like my essence, your essence, but the android doesn't have an essence. So how is she able to get that information out of her? I didn't like it very much, but hey, they've retconned Star Trek a million times before. Why can't they retcon it now? Um, but it served the purpose of giving Sutra the information, which is the admonition, just that she understood it completely different. She's like, this is a warning for the Romulans. This is a message to us, androids, that there are these extra super evolved androids that are watching somewhere, who knows where. Is it Control, maybe? I don't know. Some people have been theorizing that this is all going to tie into Discovery season 2. And I really hope it doesn't. And that's not to take anything away from Discovery. I actually thought season 2 was kind of cool. But I'd rather Picard stand alone and not tie into Discovery. Although, hey, maybe it would finally shut the people up who still don't think Discovery is canon. Um, who knows? That would be something interesting to see if they tied it in that way. But that's what we find out, is that there are these mega evolved androids, or synthetic lives, or synthetics, that if they sense that the synths that are on Sutra and everybody else's level, Soji's level, need help, they can send out a beacon and they will come. So if you build it, they will come. If you build it, they will come. Hello to people that are on. Thank you so much. Please comment if you want. We're just talking the episode, or I'm just talking the episode. Enjoyed it. Thought it was a bit too much setup, so it wasn't my favorite episode of this season. But Star Trek Picard's been really awesome overall. Not every episode can be a winner. Like last week. Oh my goodness. But it was interesting. It was interesting. So we're getting to the point here. Like one weak point for me was this whole mind meld thing. I don't know how an android is able to mind meld, because for me, watching most of Star Trek throughout my life, the mind meld has been a very kind of an essence thing. Like the mind is not exactly the same as the brain. If I'm, correct me if I'm wrong. The mind is like, what is the mind? It's something that's built more into our essence. I don't know, does an android have a mind? I know that they were able to build them so that they can dream, but a dream can still be created by an android's experience during his day to day. I don't know. This is getting into Westworld territory. Who knows? Who knows? And by the way, Westworld reviews coming up soon. Oh, yeah, there you go, Troy. My God, that really bothered me. Thank you. Okay, I'm not alone in this. Yeah, for me, before, I don't know if you were listening before, but that's right about where the episode, I mean, it started out real strong and it kind of like got shaky for me, despite it being, it was a good setup. I think next week is going to be really off the chains. It's going to be like some crazy stuff going down next week. But there was some stuff in there that I was like, what exactly is going on? How is she mind melding? You know, but Star Trek retcons itself all the time, right? We can't really can't complain too much with some stuff. But apparently, yes, there are these mega synthetic, they want to create the alliance of synthetic life, and they're waiting for the signal. Again, not exactly sure I'm buying into it, only in the sense of like, who are these other synthetic life forms, and why wouldn't they have already acted when there was the Mars attack and the ban and everything? If they've been watching, hopefully it'll be explained next week, because it was just a lot of weird stuff going on. Like, again, a lot of setup. Hopefully it's set up to something really awesome. And then after that, yeah, we get to a scene in Soong's laboratory where he shows that he's created a golem, which is more of this idea of mind transfer. And yeah, the next episode they talk about mind transfer. Like, they haven't figured out how to transfer minds. Like, does an android have a mind? I mean, they can. I guess they have a conscience somehow, right? Because that was Measure of a Man. That was a whole episode of Star Trek: The Next Generation, which introduced us to Maddox, I guess, was built on this idea of, do androids actually, are they sentient or not? But yeah, being sentient, is that the same as being able to have a spiritual? I don't know. I mean, it just brought up more questions than answers. But whatever. And then Narek gets brought in. He gets caught and brought in, and which we figured it was going to happen. He crashed somewhere. It was just a matter of time before he showed up. He gets put in prison, and that's where the episode takes its a real sharp left turn. But it was kind of predictable. That's the problem that I had with the episode. It was a little bit predictable in that we kind of figured after, like, as soon as Sutra saw the vision, that she was going to become like Lore. She is. She's like you got Data, you got Lore, you got you got Soji, and now you got Sutra. They're like the Data Lore combo for the new century. And so Sutra is like, yo, maybe it's a good idea for us to call these synths to just get rid of these Romulans. And while we're at it, let's just get rid of all organic life, because why not? We can do it. So she transforms into like the big bad wolf from one scene to the next. But I don't know. It was like the way that they introduced her already gave us this feeling of like she was going to be the bad girl. And it was just a matter of her getting that information to kind of push her over the edge. But it was very predictable. It was very predictable. And, Picard's trying to contact Starfleet in the meanwhile to try to get some help, but he can't get through. And that's where Not Soji, Sutra goes over to Narek's um, cage, his prison cell, and says that she wonders if her desire to kill him would outweigh her need for him at the moment. And we don't know what she says after. We just see that, he actually kills that first girl, Arcadia, I believe her name was, with this little brooch that she was wearing, this little bird brooch. Which again, how does he do that? Maybe it was Sutra that killed her, but just like a brooch to the eye is enough to kill a synthetic. A lot of leaps in logic in this episode, but okay, whatever. We get to so now we get to Sutra just going full on Scientology mode, where she's just like, "Come hither," she's a prophet now, and she's telling all her synth brothers and sisters that, hey, these Romulans are coming, they're gonna kill us. And it's not just the Romulans, but all organic life at some point is gonna get to the point where they will want to destroy us. So let's get rid of them. They're the problem. And let's call our interstellar synth brothers and get them to do the job. And all we got to do is build a little beacon. Kind of reminds me of Star Trek Generations. And, well, he was building a missile to redirect the Nexus. But okay, at some point, something's going to be built in which Picard and company have to save the universe before it is built and the signal sent out. Or maybe the signal will be sent out. I actually hope it does. I know I said that last week. That I kind of want to see what these mega evolved synths are. It's going to be interesting for me to see that. So I hope things aren't, everything isn't saved in the nick of time and somehow they get them to change their mind. Because, man, you can't just set something that big up and then not have some sort of a payoff of just like, oh, we just didn't call them, or Picard somehow was able to, disable the beacon just in time. Please don't end like that. That's going to be so upsetting for me. Let me see what y'all been building up to for the last, um, 8 episodes, which are these mega synths, or at least until, from the point where Soji realized she was the destroyer and there was like a whole lot of other stuff going on. There's a cute scene, by the way, in all of this where Rafi hugs Picard, and I love these two so much. Rafi's been my favorite character this whole season. Great actress, great chemistry with Picard, and she hugs him. It's like, I know I'm breaking the rules because he told us not to like pity, show any pity or feel sorry for you. And she tells him she loves him, and she's like, you don't have to say it back. And he's like, I don't. And he's like, no, 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 you really don't. And as he's about to walk away, he turns and says, Rafi, I love you. And it's so cool. Well played, perfect scene. But then we get back to like the main story, which is, yeah, it's a little bit messy, to say the least. But we're getting there. We're getting to the big finale, guys. Tell me what you think is going to go down. The Borg ship is still on this planet, so I imagine that, hey, they wouldn't have brought it's like that, like one of the first things you learn, I guess, in film school. I've never been in film school, but just from reading online, one of the first things you learn is don't introduce an element if you're not going to bring it up later. So we've introduced a rather big element, which is this Borg cube crashing on this planet, that better pay off to something other than a Borg cube crashed on this planet. And the fact that, hey, Seven has a connection to the Hive, she's able to almost kind of control it and come in and out. We introduced a lot of pretty big elements. Please let them pay off into something really big, and that's going to help in this fight because these Romulans are definitely coming. They'll be there in about a day, so that's going to happen. We have lore, the new lore, Sutra, Karma Sutra. Uh, she's gone lore on us, and she wants to destroy all organic life, so she's going to build this. And in the previews it showed that something was being built, something holographic was being built. Rafi and Rios are back on their ship trying to fix it, so I don't know even though if they know what's going on. Picard is in house arrest. So a lot of the things were set up. The pieces are there. It was kind of clunky how they set it up for me this episode, but a lot can go down. We saw that there's going to be some scenes next week with Picard giving his little speeches, trying to reason with Soji, and you're not going to be the destroyer like they said, and all this stuff. That's Picard to a T, right? You got to have scenes like that with Picard. I don't know. Tell me your thoughts, guys. Again, as you can tell by my review, I wasn't super pumped about this episode. Not like the last 3 or 4 or 5. I think, like I said, the weakest one for me was when they went down to Elnor's planet. It was cute. It was kind of important to, get them together and show the pain of what Picard had to do as far as not deal with the Romulans anymore. But could it have been done faster? Maybe, I guess. I don't know. I'm not a writer for Star Trek Picard. I have no idea. This episode kind of felt the same way. Could there have been a better way to introduce all these elements and already giving us a little bit of the actual forward momentum of the plot? I think so. Again, how? I'm not as talented of a writer as these guys are, but I do believe that it could have somehow, or maybe you guys have some ideas of how that could have happened. So that's it. Unless any of you have anything that you want to discuss, I think I'm pretty much done talking Picard for tonight. Looking forward to next week. Really looking forward to next week. So far, the series as a whole has been a very strong, give it an 8.5. Definitely the best season so far as balancing action, character, and everything out of the new Star Trek shows that have been on. I don't know if it's on the level of the really strong seasons of, either TOS, TNG, Deep Space Nine, and even Voyager. That's sometimes the redheaded stepchild of the bunch. Oh no, Enterprises. But they've had some really strong seasons where they've kind of, they kind of knew their characters, or at least most of them. But for what Star Trek is for the modern audience, what Star Trek is going to continue to be for the modern audience, I think it was cool. I think it's where Star Trek needs to be and where it needs to go. A nice blend of realism, not being afraid to point the finger back at us, humanity, where we failed, where we're not perfect, right? Because before it was always, hey, we're the perfect Federation, aside from one or two crazy admirals who are out there trying to fix all you guys' problems because you guys are screwed up, and you guys, whether it's the Romulans or the Klingons or some space race that's having a civil war, hey, we are the enlightened Federation who will come to help you. It's cool. It's nice. It works for that time. but we live in much more cynical times. We live in times where there's more information. We live in time where not everything's black and white, where the good guys aren't always the good guys, or sometimes the good guys have to do bad things in order to remain the good guys. And that's reality. And I like that Star Trek is not shying away from that. Some people obviously don't like that. They prefer the old version of Star Trek where everything's perfect in the Federation and we're out there trying to bring order, insanity to the universe. Well, I mean, reality is not like that. So I think Star Trek has always evolved, even from the 60s to the 80s, uh, up to even, I guess, the JJ movies, if you want to. I don't know if that was the right evolution, but up to, of course, where we are now, where television is now, where storytelling is now. It's got to be more layered. It's got to be more gray area ish, while still, of course, maintaining its core. And I believe that all of these seasons so far, season 1 and 2 of Discovery, plus this season of Picard, have kept that. It's just not in your face. You have to look for the light. You have to look for the light, but it's there. And, so keep trekking, guys. Thank you, Troy, for hanging out. That was so cool. This is your first actual live person that I've had on the chat. And thank you to person number 2 that keeps popping in and out. I don't know if it's the same person or not. Guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Like I said at the beginning, there's going to be some Walking Dead. There's going to be some Westworld. Stay safe out there with the corona. Um, you know, I wish you all the best. I know it's rough in sometimes not even the disease, but or the corona itself, but the economic impact that it's having on a lot of people. So uh, just be smart, stock up on some stuff in case people really go paranoid and start buying too much. But take care of your neighbors. Don't be egotistical. That's not the Star Trek way. Take care of your neighbors. Don't buy out the supermarket. uh, check on your elderly neighbors. Be a good Trekkie. Okay. Live long and prosper. Love you all. And goodbye from Brazil. Until next time.